Dell's last XPS 13, released in 2015, easily took the throne as the best 13-inch laptop and has held it ever since. But the crown has become heavy as of late, and the now 3-year-old design was in need of a refresh. Thankfully, Dell has released a new XPS 13 just in time. Now, the most obvious difference is this new XPS 13 is now available in white, with a rose gold exterior, in addition to the black and silver model that was previously available. Now, this new interior actually is a slightly different material than before. The black one is still the same as before, but the white, they wanted to make sure that it would wear well over time, so it's a little bit more tough than the black material is. It doesn't give as much when you touch it. Other than that, this new model, although it might look very similar in overall dimensions, is actually 0.46 inches thick, which is a pretty substantial reduction over the last one. It weighs 2.67 pounds, which is about the same as before. Now, while the overall look is very similar to before, it does feel a lot more modern in the hand due to that reduction in the size of the laptop. One big difference you'll notice between this and the older model is the ports. This one is going all in on USB-C and Thunderbolt 3. So you're gonna get 2 over here, 1 on the other side. There is no USB-A on this laptop. Sorry for those of you who want that. However, Dell does have mercy, and they do ship a USB-C to Type A adapter in the box. Now, thinning the XPS 13 actually hasn't compromised the keyboard. It's still one of the best in its class. We also really like the touchpad. Although it's a little bit small, as you can see here, it is a very smooth and responsive surface, and it does a great job with Windows 10 touch gestures. Now, there are 2 displays available. The standard one is a 1080p non-touch display, and you can upgrade that to a 4K touchscreen. We do wish touch was standard even on the 1080p model. A lot of competitors do offer that. Now, both the displays are very competitive with all the best competitors in this class on contrast, color accuracy, color gamut. They don't necessarily beat all the competitors in any specific area, but overall, it's very well rounded and it does look great. Now, we actually recommend the 1080p display option to most buyers. It is less expensive. By most metrics, it looks just as good as the 4K display, and it actually allows for better battery life. So that's just really a win-win-win all around. We can only really recommend the 4K if you're really obsessive about watching 4K content on a laptop, and we imagine the market for that is pretty small. Now, a Core i5-8250U processor is standard on the new Dell XPS 13. You can still get the Core i3, but only on the old model. You can upgrade that processor to a Core i7 if you want a little extra performance. Overall, this is a very, very quick laptop. Those new Core i5 and i7 8th gens are quad cores, so they perform well by just about any metric and any sort of software you throw at them. We actually saw that the XPS 13 seems to have a little bit of an edge against most competitors with the same processor. We think that might be because of the new cooling system, which makes some use of Gore fabric to help direct the heat inside of it. The system doesn't seem to strain as much under heavy load, and as a result, if you're doing something like video encoding or some other longer task that really hammers the processor, this laptop seems to get it done quicker than a lot of its competitors. Now, the hard drive is also quick overall, although in read speeds it does perform a lot better than in write speeds. And gaming performance really isn't what this is meant for, but if you want to play a fairly simple game like Rocket League, you can do that at 1080p in medium quality settings, around 30 frames per second. Now, battery life is one of the rare downgrades between the previous XPS 13 and this one. You go down to a 52 watt-hour unit in this laptop, a little bit smaller than before. Now, thankfully, battery life isn't hurt too much by that. The 1080p model gets up to 13.5 hours of battery life in our video loop, while the 4K model gets about 10.5 hours. And you know, that 3-hour difference is something that you would probably notice in everyday use over time. So that's just another reason that we recommend the 1080p version of the XPS 13. Now, overall, the XPS 13 is still our favorite 13-inch laptop. It has great performance, good battery life, and it looks fantastic. Our only real complaint is that it's not a 2-in-1, it doesn't do anything fancy. It doesn't even have a touchscreen in its most basic version, so at $1,000, there are competitors that offer that, and if you're attracted to that, you might go for them instead. Still, if you want performance and portability in an old school clamshell laptop, the XPS 13 is the PC to buy.